Hello and welcome to An Old Man Watches. And today I'm going to be talking about the 2011 film Priest. And this film begins by telling us that there have always been two races, humans and vampires, locked in an unending war. I somehow missed this war against the living dead while I was growing up, but I did always have my head in a book, so, maybe. In any case, humanity eventually won the war when they developed the priests, astonishingly powerful fighters who could defeat the vampires in hand-to-hand combat because, well, the movie never really clearly explains where the priests get their superhuman speed and strength, but somewhere. In any case, the vampires were defeated but not destroyed. Instead, they were resettled on reservations, a term for what are clearly prisons, but that was no doubt deliberately chosen for its resonance with the American Old West. I'm not sure that resonance was a great idea in this case, since it basically puts vampires into the Native American role, which is a role that I have a lot of sympathy with. But, it's what the movie does. Regardless, sometime after the war ended, the vampires are ready for round two, and this time they have a secret weapon. A vampire who is to other vampires what a priest is to a normal human. And their opening gambit in this struggle is to kidnap the niece of a particularly renowned priest, our main character, of course, and he sets out to get her back, or kill her if she's been infected by the vampires. So that's the basic plot of this film, which it's a wuxia vampire cyberpunk western, which, as a combination of things, sounds probably more exciting than this movie actually turns out to be. It's a really potentially fun grab bag of themes, just doesn't quite work here. Not that Priest is terrible, I think it would be harsh to even call it bad, but it is perhaps just a bit pedestrian. Let's talk about why. So I lay a significant part of the blame for the film's failure to the lack of emotional connection I felt to the action, and I have to lay the blame for this at the feet of the leading character. Either Paul Bettany's choices in performing the role or the direction he received. He's playing a very tightly controlled, methodical, practical, buttoned up, restrained kind of person. Very hard to feel an emotional connection to. I guess that the film was probably going for laconic badass, but they kind of only really managed silent and surly. And it's not like, Paul Bettany, best known these days for his work in the MCU as Jarvis and Vision, is certainly able to deliver emotionally complex performances, but his delivery here, either, I'm assuming because of direction, it's very stoic, stone-like and impenetrable, and I just didn't warm to him, and I didn't really, care about his success or failure. The vampires felt more like humans than the priest, and maybe the film was trying to make a point with that. Who knows? But yeah, that was an issue for me. The second thing is that this film, as I said, is a wuxia vampire cyberpunk western with numerous obvious callbacks to the Wild West. In addition to use of terms like reservations, we have hover bikes that are clearly filling in as the high-tech version of horses. The railroad plays a significant role in the narrative as it did in the expansion of the Old West. We even have what is functionally a travelling snake oil salesman. Unfortunately, having decided that it wants to have a Western vibe, and sometimes stumbling into unfortunate consequences like the whole vampires in the Native American role thing, it doesn't really do anything with that. It's just, it'd be cool to do a cyberpunk Western. Let's just do a Western with, a cyberpunk movie that's a Western. It doesn't do anything with that concept. And that failure to follow through on and give meaning to a theme recurs in other ways. The script sets up a nice parallel between the opening fight and the climactic battle, and then it doesn't follow through on that parallel in any meaningful way. Did rewrites change things and have an impact there? I don't know why not, but yeah, to me, it's clearly like there's a scene at the beginning, there's a scene at the end that is echoing that scene, and you expect it to pay off in its echoing, and it just doesn't. The one theme that the film does retain throughout is one that I disagree with. So, which is that it kind of posits that self-denial is the key to strength/goodness, while the pursuit of pleasure is the hallmark of evil. I guess having this sort of puritanical kind of theme is on brand for a film called Priest, but it's not a message I'm super on board with. You can get pleasure from helping others, for instance, and self-denial can be done for selfish reasons, cutting off your nose to spite your face kind of thing. I don't feel like the themes are either followed through where they could be successful or are necessarily particularly appealing to me, and that was an issue. One thing Priest does have going for it, though, and I have to talk about it, is the cast. I mean, I've already mentioned Paul Bettany, well known today, but the talent film in this pool is both deep and broad. The cast includes Maggie Q, Lily Collins, Brad Dourif, and Christopher Plummer, which is a pretty impressive ensemble. And on top of all that, it also has the ever-committed Carl Urban, who, as is frequently the case, does his absolute best to lift a mediocre film to watchability by sheer force of determination. When even this cast can't lift the film, to being especially good or memorable, the script and direction just don't allow it to. So like, while they can't make it good, they can sort of make it they are good enough to make it a harmless bit of science fiction movie fluff. If the basic concept of, let's jam together martial arts and vampires and cyberpunk and westerns appeals to you, like if you're like me and, when somebody says, woo's your vampire cyberpunk western, you're like, I want to see this movie, you'll probably find this a tolerable way to spend 90 minutes. It's fine. But it should be good, and it's not. So that was Priest. Next time, I'm going to take a look at Benicio del Toro's 2008 biopic of Che Guevara, Che, parts 1 and 2. It's either a miniseries or a really long movie, depending on how you want to look at it. So that'll be next time. In the meantime, thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it.